everybody, it's Emily. I'm a designer with the Quilted Cow, and today I'm here to show you how to make this cute Ruby's Ruffle tea towel. But first I'd like to thank our sponsors. We have Husqvarna Viking Machines, Wilmington Prince Fabrics, and Creative Grids Rulers, Cutters, and Mats. Okay, let's get started. This is the Ruby's Ruffle towel, and it makes a really cute little decorative element to your kitchen whenever you have company over or whenever you want to add just a touch of whimsy to your decorations. We do have kits available on our website, thequiltedcow.com. They will include everything that you need to make one towel, and the pattern is included in that. So go to our website and check that out, or head into one of our stores and get yourself a kit. Now, we're going to get started. First, you're going to gather up all your fabrics, make sure that you have everything ready to go. I have a couple of fabrics that I want to show you how to hem the fabric for the ruffle. So I do already have one finished, but I'm going to show you real quick an easy way to do it. What you're going to do first is you're going to go ahead and fold over 1/4 inch your fabric to the wrong side of the fabric. And I'm using my hot ruler for this because it makes it so much easier. It's a little felt ruler that you can put your iron over, and that gives you a nice 1/4 inch edge. Just to that, you're just gonna give it a good press, a little bit of heat there, get it to lay down. And then we're gonna fold it one more time, that 1/4 inch. And you're gonna do this to 3 sides of both of your ruffle pieces. I like to start on the ends first, on the short ends first, and then go ahead and go ahead and fold up the bottom of it. And there's really no rhyme or reason, except that's just my preference. If you want to go ahead and do it the other way, then you do it however you're comfortable with. But you do want to make sure that you get on your entire strip of ruffle fabric, both of the ends hemmed, and also one end. Now also watch out in case you have some directional fabrics. You want to make sure that it's the bottom of the directional fabric that you are hemming up. Once you get it pressed and ready to go, you're going to go and you're going to stitch all the way down all 3 of those sides, all the way around that piece of fabric. That's going to help to hold that hem in place and give you a lovely, nice edge that you don't have to worry about any fraying going on. I did go ahead and use a thread color that matches. You can always use a coordinating thread color, something contrasting, whatever your preference is. So once we have that, this is our ruffle strip, one of our ruffle strips. We are going to put, we're going to go ahead and sew a basting stitch all the way down the unfinished, unhemmed side of our ruffle. So whenever we do that, we're going to actually sew 2 lines of basting stitches all the way down. We want to make sure the first one is about a scant 1/4 inch, and then the second one is going to be about a scant 3/8 inch. The reason why we do that is because that's how we're going to pull our ruffle. So let's go ahead and do the second one. You'll notice that I've already gone ahead and done one row of basting stitch here. And a basting stitch is basically a really, really wide stitch. What it's going to do is it's only going to put the needle through the fabric every once in a while, so that whenever you go to pull it, it's easier to pull those threads and get your ruffle out of it. So I'm going to set this, this stitch length, let me see here, to the highest it will go, which this machine goes to a 6.0. Your machine may go slightly lower, it may go slightly higher, but I go ahead and do it as high as I can go. And then I'm also going to leave myself a little bit of a tail on my threads. That way I have plenty to work with whenever I go to pull it. All right, and then get this up. And I'm going to go ahead and pull my threads a little bit because, like I said, I want those tails, because I want to mess with those tails. Now, like you'll notice it's already gone ahead and done a little bit of the ruffle for me. Sometimes your machine, the tension will cause it to go ahead and give it a little bit of a ruffle. That's okay, because we're ruffling it some more. So what I'm going to do now, and you do want to clear this out. If the end kind of stitched over itself, the end of the thread, you know, it had one more stitch after the fabric was gone, you kind of have to pull that apart just to make it a little easier on you whenever you go to pull on those threads. There it is, because it kind of knots it up. All right, so I hope that you can kind of see this. I went ahead and did it with black thread, so hopefully it will make it easier for you to see it. So I'm going to grab the top two threads. You can either grab the top two or the bottom two threads, whichever way it goes, whichever one you want to do. And I'm just going to start pulling and gathering my ruffle. Now you can gather it way farther than you need to if you want. That's up to you. But it's sometimes a little bit easier to leave yourself a little bit of room. So I work a little bit from one side, and then I come around and I work a little bit from the other side. And the reason for that is because it's a lot easier to break your threads if you try to do it all from one side. So it'll keep you from breaking your threads. It will help to make it go a little bit smoother, a little bit more even ruffle. Once you get that, what you're going to do is we're going to lay this out on top of our towel. Now, we didn't talk much about our tea towel, but using these waffle towels, I do recommend, and if you want to, go ahead and pre-wash the towel. That way it's pre-shrunk for you. Any of your tea towels, go ahead and pre-wash because it will shrink a little bit when the first time you wash it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out. Now I've gone ahead and ruffled both of my ruffles already. So you're going to have your small ruffle and your large ruffle. And I went ahead and gathered the fabrics as I needed to. And then what you want to do is you want to measure them out on your towel. And I do like to go ahead and work with the end of the towel. The reason for that is because I know that I'm running straight across the towel and I'm not going crooked with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clip and just pin one side of the ruffle to it, and then lay out the ruffle and take it to the other end. And I'm getting my threads out of the way and stuff, and make sure that it is as wide as the towel is, and you just want it to meet those ends. Now I will warn you, as you stitch these together, they will kind of lengthen out a little bit, but that's okay. If you want to go just a touch shorter than your towel, that's all right as well. Sometimes I like to just, bunch it up just a little bit here on the one end. And then whenever I go to stitch these together, then it'll kind of spread out just a little bit, but not too bad. So once I've got that, then I like to clip at different points along the way. Now you'll notice I have a bunch of scraggly threads. Don't worry about those right now. What we're going to do first is we're going to zigzag stitch these together just to hold the ruffles together, make it easier to manage our fabric and our ruffles later on. So I'm going to grab this, grab the ends, keep them clipped, take it over to the sewing machine and zigzag stitch. If you don't have a zigzag stitch, a straight stitch will work, but make sure that you change your stitch length back to a smaller stitch length and you're not basting it together again. You want to make sure that it gets a nice tight stitch so it holds those ruffles where you want them. All right, so now that I've got that zigzag stitch done, it doesn't have to be the prettiest. It's okay. This is all getting hidden. So don't panic if it doesn't look perfect. But what I'm going to do first is just get rid of some of these extra threads, because otherwise sometimes they get down in like behind the ruffles, or they kind of just cause some issues, and we don't want that. It's not imperative that you get rid of every single thread, just the longer ones, the ones that are going to kind of show up later, trailing down. And the whole reason why we have these stray threads, these raveled threads, is because we're messing with the raw edge a lot. And it's okay. You're going to find that you get these stray threads a lot. I just like to take a few moments and get it all cleaned up. And now it's time to add our accent fabric. So the accent fabric is the piece that's going to cover up all that raw edge and all that messiness. And we have chosen this cute speckle for that. And what you're going to do with this is you take your strip and you're going to iron it in half. And this is, go ahead and do the whole entire strip. So you iron it in half, and then you're going to iron both of those raw edges to the inside and then iron it closed again. And that's going to enclose all those raw edges so that you can use this strip to go ahead and enclose all the raw edges here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start go ahead and give myself a little bit of a tail on one end, 3 to 4 inches. It's not a big deal. There's no perfect measurement on that. It's just a little bit of a tail. And then I'm going to fold that strip over so that it covers the ruffle on both sides. So we're going to put that ruffle in there. And I'm just kind of feeling on this end, making sure that the ruffle is all the way up inside of that fold there. I'm just going to clip it in a few spots. And there's plenty of fabric here because by the time you get it folded over, it's wide enough. It should completely cover that second row of basting stitches that you did on your ruffle. All right, so I was talking to you before whenever you were zigzagging your ruffles together or stitching your ruffles together, that sometimes it will kind of squish out, it'll kind of widen out this ruffle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back and we're gonna measure this on the towel again. And that is something I learned, and it's a very important thing, something that I learned to do, because the first time I did this, it ended up being a little bit wider than the towel. And so it ended up folding over the edges of the towel. And you'll notice that it's actually quite a bit wider than the towel is. So all I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take it and open this up a little bit and squish the ruffle in. This is the beauty of ruffles. They don't have to be exact. They can just kind of be played with a little bit. They can be manipulated. And if it ruffles a little bit in one area that wasn't ruffled before, that's okay. It's a ruffle. It needs to ruffle. So I'm just going to add a little bit of extra on that end, kind of gather it up a little bit more on that end. And then make sure that I've got it. I need to go ahead and gather up just a touch more over here. And if you want, I mean, you are welcome to come in from the edge of the towel just a little bit more too, and have just a touch of the edge of the towel peeking through. That's okay too. So it depends on how you want to do it. Now, the next step is to go ahead and get this laid out on the bottom edge of the towel. So there's a couple ways you can do that. You can pick up the ruffle here, and I like to use this bottom edge that's been finished here, this hem on the towel, and just lay the accent fabric right above that and clip that there. And same thing down here. And that way I know that my ruffle is going to be straight across the towel. If not, you can go a little bit wonky with it. Hang on, before we do that though, I almost forgot. We need to go ahead and sew the accent fabric on top of the ruffle. Let's go ahead and sew that in. That's going to make it a lot easier in the long run. What I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch just 1/8 of an inch from the bottom of the accent fabric where it's open and make sure that that gets closed. If you're at 1/8 of an inch, you should catch both sides. If you don't catch both sides and all you catch is the top side, it's okay. Don't panic. Whenever we sew this onto the towel, it's going to catch both sides. So let's go ahead and sew that on. Go ahead and finish a couple of inches beyond the ruffle. So now that we've got this all one piece, like I said, if you missed a little bit on the back side, that's okay. We're going to catch that in just a minute. Now it's time to go ahead and stitch this onto the towel. So now, like I said, if you use this bottom hem as your placement for where you want the ruffle to go, you can kind of feel where that hem is and where it's going to sit with the ruffle. Okay, so now I know I've said that I don't like to use pins very often, but it might be time to get out my pins because it doesn't always like to stay where I want it while I'm sewing this part on, and clipping is really no good in this area. So I'm going to grab a couple of pins, and you don't have to pin very much, just so long as everything is going to stay put. And 2 or 3 pins hopefully is not going to prick my fingers too much. So got a couple of pins in there. It's going to be where I want it to be. And like I said, I just want to feel for where that bottom hem is. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead, and you can either choose to top stitch along the bottom edge first or along the top edge, whichever one you prefer. It really doesn't matter as long as you are stitching everything down, that's what's important. So let me go ahead and get these stitched down real quick, or start you off on the journey. Once again, I'm going to start about 2 to 3 inches beyond the edge here, beyond the edge of the towel. And that way I make sure that I go ahead and stitch that accent piece in. All right, I'm gonna finish this out again, about 2 to 3 inches beyond the edge of the towel. So now that I've got that down, the last thing that I need to do is pick up the scissors that I dropped, and we're going to trim. You're going to go ahead and add your second row of stitching here at the bottom. So you want to go ahead and stitch both the top and the bottom of that accent piece, making sure that it secures this to the towel really, really well. At this point, I only did the top, so it's not very secure on the bottom. Plus, whenever you top stitch the bottom of that accent piece, it's also gonna, if you accidentally missed a couple of spots on the back side where it didn't quite catch the fabric back here, it's gonna catch that and it's gonna hold everything down. So that'll help. In the meantime though, I'm gonna show you how to trim off the ends. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the edge of the towel and you're gonna trim an 1.5 inches, an 1.25 inches from the edge of the towel. So I just take my ruler, and obviously I did this before I came, but I've got an 1.25 inches of that accent piece, a little tail back here. And the reason why we want to do that is because we want to finish this out so there's no raw edges showing. So what I'm going to do, once I get that trimmed off, I'm going to fold this over so that the raw edge almost meets the end of the towel, about 1/2 inch, and then fold that over so that you have a nice little fold right here. And then we're going to come back and top stitch just exactly, or as close to on top of where we top stitched before. On this black fabric with the black thread, it's not going to make that big of a difference if we kind of miss our top stitch a little bit, but if you have a lighter fabric, or if you have a lighter thread, a contrasting thread, you are going to want to try to stick on those, on top of those threads. So let me go ahead and show you. I'm just going to come up, and it's going to lock in my stitch at the beginning automatically. It's the way this machine works. And then just a few stitches beyond that. And then let's back it up. So once you have both of your, you have both edges, you have it top stitch on the top and the bottom, and you do it to both sides, then you have a finished Ruby's Ruffle towel. Once again, this towel is perfect for adding a little bit of decoration to your kitchen, a little touch of whimsy if you wish, a little holiday decoration. You can get kits. They are available on the Quilted Cow website. Go to thequiltedcow.com and look up the Ruby's Ruffle towel. You can also find them in our stores. So make sure you head to our website. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and thanks so much for watching today.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.